Brian Dunn here with Athletic Director John Longley, and usually Mark and Joe is in this spot to recap sort of the fall season on Sports Sector, but with you expecting a kid and your wife next week, I will take over the reins. So first of all, congratulations, by the way.
Thanks, Brian. Appreciate that.
Absolutely. And so kind of just going into the fall season here, I know there was a lot of ups and downs, but overall, I think a lot of the teams really showed either some improvement or some really good success in this season.
Yeah, I think the fall, last year being in the new league and with the fall season, the kind of your first test, it kind of set a tone for what the expectations are or the level of competition, and the fall kind of started that off, and then we built as the year went on. I think we continue to make strides as far as, if you're comparing last fall to this fall, the teams were a little bit more successful. They were kind of in the hunt in a lot of the games, and kind of still going through that learning curve of having the ability to be competitive in almost every game that you play, and kind of making those our goals moving forward, or kind of taking that next step, and turning the corner. And I know that that's kind of a piece of what we'll continue to work through this fall, and looking towards next year as well. So I know some of the highlights were, we did host the football team qualified for the playoffs for the first time in a few years, and we were able to host our first playoff game under the new format here at Norwood High last Saturday. So that was obviously, a great accomplishment for the football team. Unfortunately, not the result we had wanted, but that was, significant to be able to get a home playoff game. Field hockey continued their success, as one of our top programs. Under Coach Allison Dolan, are qualifying, for the Division I South tournament, and this year was able to secure a home game. Again, unfortunately, we ran into a hot Attleboro team that day, and weren't able to come out on top. But again, field hockey continues to be one of our better programs, but additionally one of the better programs in the area. So.
Yeah, and you sort of touched upon it with, we have some new faces with Coach Manny Lopes in his first season, right. Making huge strides with the football program. But a lot of teams that were successful last year can maintain that level of success. You mentioned field hockey. They were TVL champions last year, and they were still on the top of that standing this year as well. So can you speak to how they were able to maintain that kind of success?
Yeah, I think, field hockey is competitive every year. Allison puts a lot of work in. Westwood happened to have a great year this year in field hockey. They were undefeated until the last game where we knocked them off. But we were, I think we ended up in second place to them in the league. When I think about the other sports, I think about, boys cross country in particular won 3 meets this year with a very young team. I mean, it's been a long time since we've had a boys cross country team win 3 meets. And they were 3-3. There's only 6 dual meets, so that was actually significant progress. And it's a young team that should be able to compete for a potential league title in years to come. We have one of the most outstanding girls cross country runners in the area, in junior Olivia Badette. So she's, Olivia's been doing well all along, but she was a TVL All-Star. She finished either 3rd or 4th in the TVL championship a few weeks ago. Girls volleyball made some strides this year under Coach Paul and Lynn Billette, and that's a program that continues to build and grow. I know that their second to last match of the season, they knocked off Westwood, and what was maybe kind of their highlight of their season. I know that they're looking forward to the coming years. So a lot of boys soccer had 5 wins. That was the most wins that they've had in quite a few years. Maybe over a decade, and so we're at that point where we're right in the mix. The kids are competitive, and now it's finding the ways to commit ourselves to taking those next steps, similar to what the winter teams were able to do last year. The fall is still in the midst of that, searching for that next level, and that's all part of the process.
Right, and I think being competitive is one thing, but being competitive while having the roster makeup of a lot of these teams where these are a lot of young kids, freshmen, sophomores, juniors, sort of, becoming leaders of their own and, becoming leaders of their teams, whereas you don't see that in a lot of other leagues. So it kind of gives them an opportunity with the standings in the Tri-Valley to sort of step up at a young age and see what they can do.
Yeah, we have a balance, and we certainly have a full program a lot of times at all three levels, freshman, JV, and varsity. But we do have sophomores and juniors that are contributing at the varsity level, and we think that the fall we have a bright future for our fall programming, and we're looking forward to finishing out. We still have cross country this weekend, football. Still has a few games left, including our annual Thanksgiving Day game versus Dedham. And it's been a few years since, the Dedham's had our number the last couple of years on Thanksgiving. So, we're looking forward to a real good game. It's in Dedham this year. So yeah, as we kind of put a bow on the fall, it was successful. We made improvements, and, I know I have the feeling like I can't wait for next fall to start, to see us take that next step.
And I can as well. And you said putting a bow on the fall season. It's a quick turnaround, right? Because Thanksgiving's late this year. Winter sports starts right at the Monday after Thanksgiving in December. So I know there's a lot of great storylines, especially with Coach Chris and McDonald gonna take over the boys team. Both hockey programs look to be promising. Every team looks to be promising, but do you have any sort of expectations?
Yeah, I think, obviously we kind of ended the year with the hire of Coach McDonald, so there's a lot of, I know that, she's really looking forward to that challenge, particularly with her being so embedded in, the school community here in Norwood, having worked as the director of guidance for the last number of years. So that's a program we're really looking to see improve and take that next step, and I know that Coach is excited to bring us there, and there's going to be a lot of work to be done, but I think they're up for the task. I mean, girls basketball kind of was had an unbelievable season last year, winning the TVL and being one of the top seeds in Division II South, and we have a lot of returning players on that team. Actually, the whole team's returning there. So they there's high expectations, whereas last year they went into the year kind of, the expectations, no one quite knew what to expect. We were hopeful and thought we had some talent, obviously, but now they're kind of under a different set of circumstances where there's high expectations. They're the reigning champions, and I know that they have goals where they want to try and, advance and improve and continue along their path to achieving their goals. Boys hockey had a great season last year. We were second in the league, qualified for the Division II South semifinals. I know that we're replacing a few key components of that team, but Chuck Allen's been with us a few years now, and they're expecting to be a competitive team. Girls hockey, the same thing. They're looking forward to a great season, qualifying for the tournament. Maybe our most successful team last year that goes unnoticed was the gymnastics team that qualified. They were 8-1 in the regular season, qualified for the sectional tournament for the first time ever, and we actually just missed out by one place, advancing to the state championship. Most of those girls are back for the gymnastics team, so I don't want to miss out. Wrestling had their first season above 500 last year in a number of years. The majority of that team is back under Coach McDermott. We also have Jen Roger and Kate Curtin leading our co-ed swim team. So that's the second year of a true co-ed. So hopefully we had 30 participants in that last year. And Matt Curran, Amy Worcester leading the track. Girls track was able to win a couple of dual meets last year, which they hadn't been able to do in recent years. And the boys were very competitive as well. So the winter, we're really excited about this. Really kind of made our mark last year. Now let's see how far we can take it, really, honestly.
And we are excited for it as well. And that'll do it here. John, thank you for coming
Brian.
in. And congratulations.
Yeah, thanks again.
We look forward to hearing about that as well. And we'll throw it back to Mark and Joe.